So basically select statement is used for fetching the data from your tables, right? And the syntax of the select statement is select star or a specific column. If you want a distinct record, you can add distinct. Along with that, if you want to write a particular expression, you can write it down, and you can give that alias name to that particular expression, and from where you wanted to extract the data. So the table name. So in this query, you can see basically the common syntax are like your select, then distinct, then column, then expression, then alias, from, and table. These are the only words which you can see in the syntax, right? So select is used for selecting one or more column, right? But if you want to see all the columns of a table, right? So you can put simply star. Okay. If you want to suppress the duplicate value, you can put distinct. Okay. And if you have some expression like you wanted to calculate something like salary into 10 or salary plus 1000, then that will be like your mathematical expression. So you can create a mathematical expression based on the column. We'll see in the example section. And you can give an alias name like your new salary into 10 will be your new salary, right? And then your from table is basically from where you are fetching the data, or the column which you are mentioning in the select clause, you are fetching from where, right? So table name you need to specify. Okay, so let's see some of the examples. Okay, so as I said in the example section, you can put the star if you wanted to fetch all the data from a table. So here employees is a table. You can see in the HR schema there are a hell lot of table, right? So you can pull the data from any table, right? So, for example, I'm taking all the data, all the fields, all the columns from employees table, right? So, in employees table, basically you can see these many columns are there, right? So, to select the data of all the columns, simply I will put select star from the employee's name, and then it will return the output of all the columns and all the records, right? Now if you wanted to fetch selected columns, right? Let's say for example employee ID, first name and last name you want to select only. So you can simply put these three name of the column, and you simply execute the query. You will get the selected columns output, right? So one concept is there in SQL, which is selection and projection. So selection is basically you are selecting something, and projection is something which you are projecting. So projecting is nothing but mentioning the column name. What are the column names which you want to project in your select query? So don't get confused whenever you are getting any interview question like what is selection, what is projection. So selection is basically selecting the rows, and projection is basically projecting the particular column of that particular rows. Okay, so the next is your distinct, right? So let's say the example of distinct, right? So here in the employees table, you can see one column is there which is department ID, right? So definitely employee will work under some department, right? So in employees table you will get duplicate records, right? Like 90, 90, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, and many more records, right? Like 30, 30, 30. So if you want to see only the distinct department ID from your employees table, right? So you can simply put the distinct keyword before the department ID column so that it will suppress all the duplicate record and it will return only the unique fields, right? So you can do it like now you can see only you will get the unique record like 50, 40, 110, 90, 30, 70, 10. So you will get only the unique record. Okay. So far any doubt, any confusion?
No, sir.
Okay. So the next, similarly in department table also you can execute these query, you will get the same kind of output, right? Like department table contains department ID, department name, manager ID, location ID. Okay. So for selected column, if you want to see like above in employees table which we have done, you can simply execute the query of selected column. In the above, you have seen four columns, right? But below explicitly we have mentioned the four columns, right? So when you are going to work in industry or somewhere, it will be a better practice if you mention the column name specifically which you wanted to see. If you wanted to see the entire column, if you write it the all the columns name, it will be a better practice. Later on in this course, you will get to know why I am saying that to put all the columns name, right? So, the next is your alias name, right? Because in the slide you have seen while we are selecting the data, we can give any alias name to a particular column if you want, right? So we see some example of aliasing, right? So here you can see a department ID, a big name, right? So in short, we can write it DPT ID. Okay. So let's see what will be the output of this query, right? So you can see the header only gets changed, right? Remaining everything will be same. Like above and below, if we execute these two query, we will get the same output, right? In the above example, you see the department ID full name is there, but in the second query, only you are getting DPT ID because I have given the alias name of department ID as DPT ID, right? Now, what is the advantage of using the alias name, right? So we let's say for example as I shared during the class that yes you can do some mathematical operation and you can give the alias name to that particular new column. So here you see let's say for example up to here if I execute the query, okay, so we what we will get the employee ID, first name, last name, and the salary of all the employees, right? So, I just want to add 1000 in the salary of all the employees, irrespective of department and all. Okay. So, let's execute the query and see what you will get, right? So, you can see your this column is old salary, which is your salary column, right? And your new salary will be one after addition of 1000 in your old salary. So let's say for here you can see employee ID 100, first name is Steven, last name is King, the old salary is 24,000. Now we have added 1000 and the new salary is 25,000. So you can use the alias name while you are doing any mathematical operation to hide that the mathematical calculation. Let's say for example if I omit it, Okay, I'm not giving any alias name. What will happen? So let's see whether what we will get. So you can see what you are getting, right? So to hide the mathematical calculation, you can use the alias name, right? So see here you can see, so any user can easily see that yes, in the salary column, so and so developer has added 1000, right? So he or she can easily guess that yes, this is the logic behind the new salary column. So always a good practice if you do any mathematical operation or any expression if you are using, better to use the alias name so that it will give a meaningful name to that particular column and it will be easily understandable to all. Okay. So for any confusion,
हाँ सर। सर
okay.
अगर
So
एलियस नेम
should,
यूज नहीं किया उसमें,
huh?
तो सर अगर एलियस नेम उसमें अगर उस कोड में अगर यूज नहीं किया था,
Okay.
तो सर एक बार कोड खोलिए, मैं बोलता हूँ आपको। सर अगर इधर एज सैलरी एज ओल्ड सैलरी अगर ये नहीं करके सैलरी प्लस 1000 करते तो सैलरी में सिर्फ अपडेट हो जाता ना।
अपडेट नहीं होगा कुछ भी यहाँ पे, ओनली यू कैन सी द डेटा, द फाइनल डेटा विल बी तुम्हारे टेबल में जो डेटा है विच विल बी एज इट इज, ओके, इन द व्यू ओनली यू आर गेटिंग इट,
अच्छा।
राइट? आर यू गेटिंग मी और नॉट?
हाँ हाँ, समझ में आया।
Only for the select purpose we are using it. The actual data
अच्छा।
in the table is your this only, your old salary. Because salary
अच्छा।
column we have given the alias name as old salary. Okay.
ठीक है।
So your salary will remain as 24,000, but for the display purpose only, while you are fetching the data from the table, it is taking 24,000 and adding 1,000 to create a new column of all the employee with new salary, right?
ठीक है।
So arithmetic operation, right? So in when you are going to select anything, as you have seen in the salary column, we can perform some mathematical operation, right? In any other programming language like C, Java, or Python, the way we are performing any mathematical operation, in the same way, you can also do the mathematical operation in SQL as well. And how you will do that? Let's say, for example, in the salary column, which is a numerical field. So in numerical field, you can do your whatever mathematical calculation are there, right? So let's say for example you wanted to calculate the new salary as 12 into salary, then 1000. So your new salary will be like this one, right? 20,000, and this one will be your like 2,89,000, right? But if you want to override this calculation, how you can do it? So simply by putting the bracket, you can overwrite it, right? So you have seen the mathematical operation as well, right?